recording, brother.
All right.
Joy, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, man.
This is it's an impressive setup here.
Thank you, man.
Great. You're putting my podcast setup to shame.
No, not at all, man. It's different stuff. What is your podcast name again?
It's good advice for bad ideas.
Good advice for bad idea. I was checking it up on your Instagram. You have a lot of videos there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've had some crazy guests. I mean, basically, what we're doing is interviewing people who have done things that you wouldn't normally get advice about. Sometimes they're criminal behaviors, all sorts of stuff. We actually had a guest who survived the Sully plane crash.
Shoot.
When they landed in the
Hudson River?
The Hudson, yeah. He
Wow.
survived it, so he gave advice on how to survive a plane crash. We've had bank robbers on.
How you can give an advice on how to survive an airplane crash? That's like, okay, cross your finger and pray.
Well, there is that, but when you've actually gone through it, there's other things that have helped. So
Wow.
one thing, you don't want to be in the back of the plane because it's harder to get out, right? So if a plane crashes, there's a pretty good chance you might be dead already, right? Everybody might be dead. But if it's like right after takeoff or where they crash landed into the Hudson, it became a situation where the people who are in the front who are closer to the exits have an easier path out. There's less chance that they will get stuck in the plane. So that was part of it. And then a lot of it was just teamwork. When they landed, they kind of executed together and worked together to get out of there.
I cannot believe that there was people trying to sue the pilot of the airplane. Man, this thing is making noises and I don't know how to silence it.
Yeah, it's over my head. Yeah,
Yeah, it is what it is. So, Joy, how you pronounce your last name?
Gerics.
Gerics,
Yeah.
Gerics?
Yeah.
Gerics is a local, let's say local because live in this area now, comedian that just record your first album?
Yeah, just recorded my first album about a month ago.
He's planning to be on a special on...
Yeah, so we recorded both audio and video. So I'll be doing like an album release, but also we're editing together as a special. So I have a director who's been, plotting that together. So on top of the stand-up, there will be a lot of other kind of B-roll stuff, interviews, things like that. So so a lot of work to do.
I'm sorry, wait. That gonna be on the special when the special come out?
So there'll be the album and the special. So the album will just be kind of the straight stand-up, but then the special will have stand-up, it'll have interviews, it'll have other kind of clips and stuff and be kind of
cool.
edited together. Yeah. So
if you have to compare with other special, or the popular special, which one you would say similar style to that one?
You know what? I don't even know.
Yeah, no,
because
I don't remember any like that.
Yeah, we're trying to do something a little different where it's not just straight stand up. I mean, obviously the majority of the content will be my stand up. But our plan is to have something a little more vibrant. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of specials that are going in different directions these days. A lot of stuff is not just kind of like the standard, one comic doing one set type thing. So, I think like Drew Michael did a special where he recorded it with no audience.
Wow.
And it was just like him talking in a void. It was weird.
But that was because of COVID or that was a
No, he
personal
did that
choice?
Before. That was like his personal choice. Yeah.
It gotta be weird for a comedian.
Yeah, you kind of need the audience, I think.
At least to kind of get some the feedback of is this funny? I'm getting boring.
I wouldn't do it without an audience. That's the challenge with stand-up is you can't practice it or get better at it unless you have an audience. You can sit and write, but you don't necessarily know what's going to be funny until you're talking to an audience. Exactly. So to not have that, I don't know.
Man, I always admire everybody that perform in front of people. I think it's a different set of balls that I don't have. I think the last time I performed in a stage, I was in probably 7th grade back in Venezuela. And I'm still scared about that day. I remember my hand sweats a little bit.
What did you do?
Nothing. Just stand like a tree or something
and
say a couple of lines.
terrifying.
I was before 7th grade. I don't know, 6th grade. I was very young. 7th grade, maybe. I don't remember, man. So it was like the day of nature, Mother Nature or something in Venezuela. So we have to do little performance during the day. Yeah. And one of the performances, I was a tree. And this girl is walking and talking to the tree. And the tree said just 2 lines or whatever. But I'm still scared. And that happened probably 40 years ago.
Well, I don't know. I think what you do terrifies me. You're taking a needle, sticking it into somebody's skin and doing artwork on them permanently. That's
Okay,
that's
yeah.
scary, right?
At the beginning is you're right. You're right. At the
Yeah.
beginning, if you're responsible and you want to do it right, yeah, it's super scary
How do
at the
you like
beginning.
even do it the first time? Like, how do you find the first person to like?
The first person found me. Actually, my first tattoo was my brother, and he was the one that encouraged me to do it. So I already knew how to draw and stuff. And he
Yeah.
started like, "You should tattoo. You should tattoo." One of our local friends back in Venezuela, also in my town, came back from the big city to the town with a tattoo, a little tattoo, and a homemade machine or something, and he started tattooing friends. So my brother started, "Why you don't do it? Why you don't do it?" He took me to buy my first machine, and he was my guinea pig, bro. I did it way too fast, way too long needle, way too deep around his ankle, man. Such a painful area by itself, and doing it in the wrong way. Fuck. I did the design, and the design started fading very quick because I did it with a pen. You know, all the things that you're not supposed to do, I was doing. I didn't know anything. That was before internet was a thing, you know.
So you're just guessing how to tattoo. For the
Yes,
first time.
I asked one of my friends a couple of hints. That same friend teach me how to weld together needles, homemade needles, and how to sterilize them. You
Oh
know,
my god.
and yeah, man, I was doing it
Yeah,
based on
that's
that.
scary to me.
Yeah, it is scary. Even that happened. The first time I tattooed, then I kept tattooing a little bit, moved to America, tattoo a little bit in my house to my friends and stuff. But I actually became a tattoo artist like 10 years later after the first tattoo I did.
Yeah.
Is when I first started tattooing professionally.
Yeah.
And still for the first 2 years, I was always very nervous. I was tattooing in a tattoo shop. I was,
How many years have you been doing it professionally now?
I would say around 12
Oh
maybe.
wow. Yeah.
To around there.
Okay.
11. No, more than 11. Actually, I just got a Facebook notification, like a memory. You know those
Yeah,
memories?
yeah.
11 years ago, a
Oh.
tree I did for somebody on my first tattoo shop when I started tattooing the first time. So it was about that time, probably a year earlier. That I
And the
started.
first 2 years you were kind of
Yeah, man. And the pressure, it's not my shop. I barely speak any English. I was in everybody speak just English shop.
yeah.
The owner all the time come and look over my shoulder. He
God.
he want to make sure I don't fuck it up for his
Yeah.
reputation or his place. So yeah, man, it's scary.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been doing comedy 10 years, and I don't know. I don't think, like you said, like performing is like ballsy, and I don't think so, because like for me and every comic I know, like it's when we're going on stage, like maybe occasionally you're nervous, but not really that much. I like when I did my album recording, I was a little nervous like an hour before, but I wasn't like nervous like, oh, is this gonna go okay? I was like nervous like, oh, I hope I remember all my jokes. I want to make sure I get all my jokes recorded. But I don't know. I feel like you have to do it. Like I need to get on stage and have a microphone, so I'm not scared. And I don't know. Is it the same for you? Like with tattooing, do you feel like you have to do it now?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I enjoy it. I love it. I wake up every morning super excited. I'm going to tattoo, and also at the beginning, going to tattoo conventions. So I already was a little comfortable in that shop. I was super comfortable in that shop. I was already friend with everybody there, and already people was coming to get tattoo. My tattoo weren't like the greatest one, but they were clean, at least nice looking lines and stuff, right? So I was confident enough, and then I went to a tattoo convention, and that's a whole new level because now it's hundreds of people. I don't know how many thousands probably of people walking by your booth and checking very close and stuff. So yeah, it was again getting frantic again, a little scary. But again, it's similar to what you're saying. You have to do it once you throw yourself in the fire. Now you just focus on what you have to do rather than being nervous for something else. Like you kind of prepare in advance, right? So yeah.
I think there's something to it. Like I also I used to bartend. And when I first started bartending, first I'm starting off on like kind of like the slower nights, like, Tuesday night, it's not that busy. And then, the weekend nights, are crazy. Like you bartend in New York City, it's nuts. So when you have that first like nighttime weekend shift, you're like, holy shit. Yeah. You're nervous about it. You're like running around, you're crazy. But then you survive it and you're like, okay, like I can do this, and you just keep doing it, and then the nerves are gone after that.
So I have asked a few friends, comedians and TV people or theater people or musicians. That I always ask this, like, you get nervous to go? And pretty much everybody say like, yeah, man, before I go into the scene or the stage or whatever, you feel that kind of tickle inside of you. But once you're there, you just get in the zone and you're doing it. And for me, the way how I can comprehend that, let's say, like, to make sense to me, that the best is flying. I'm scared of flying, but I'm not terrified. I get antsy. So every time that I have to fly, like 2 days before the flight, I'm a little antsy.
Yeah.
A little, yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Are you okay when you're on the flight?
once I'm driving to the airport and getting there, everything is okay. If I'm
really?
in the airplane, I'm okay.
Okay, that's
for some reason. And before, like the 2 days before, when I get a little antsy always.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every time that somebody want to invite me or I have to go to a show that is far, like in 2 weeks, I'm going to California. So I already start thinking a little bit about it, right? But when it's like 2 days before, I get a little antsy.
Yeah.
Except when I have to do it like very often. That happen also.
Then
I
you're
have
just,
to
like,
fly
used
back
to
to
it.
back, and then I don't think anymore about it.
Yeah.
It's weird, right?
I mean,
we're programmed. So
Yeah, I don't know. You know, my wife is similar with flying, where like if we're going somewhere, like leading up to it, you know, she kind of like tenses up
Also?
about the flight. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't get. I get when I'm on a flight, like when it's taking off and landing. I kind of like. I'm like, okay, because I'm like, that's when if it's gonna crash, that's when it's gonna crash.
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, all right, here we go. And then I'm in the air. I'm like, okay, we're good. And then we're landing. I'm like, okay, and I tighten up.
landing, I don't mind it so much. When it's departing, sometimes it's like some of those airports, the flight just speed up and kind of take a right or left suddenly.
Yeah.
And it's still going up, and you see that kind of
Oh,
through the
you know
window,
that
you
tilt?
see
You're, like,
the
looking
houses
down.
there.
Yeah,
You're
you're
what
like-
the fuck is going on? And the thing is like taking those little air pockets, whatever they call it. Like, you feel like that.
Oh yeah.
Like suspending the air suddenly, like, and it's just the part. Yeah, that freaked me out a little bit.
I was on one flight once from Miami back to New York, and there was like some kind of storm, and it was the worst turbulence. Like it was. You know, it's bad when they make like the flight attendants buckle up.
Yes.
So the flight attendants are buckled up, and like the plane is like just up and down, and like women are screaming.
Yeah,
And I just
man.
like I had my head down, like I just had my head tucked between my legs, and I was like,
That happened to me coming
like,
from
this could be
Germany.
it.
I was coming from Germany, and I was in the middle of somewhere in the North Atlantic, because, you know, they have the screen where it shows where the airplane is going, kind of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know why is that shit there, but you know what I mean?
I like knowing where I am.
Oh, fuck that. Yeah, I would like to if they put just land all the time, like you on land, because you feel like, okay, it has a chance. But in the middle of the fucking cold ocean, you have kind of negative chance to survive anything. But anyway, it's been my worst turbulences to the point that the little doors, the compartment doors, they were opening, luggage was coming
Really?
down, and you see how the flight attendant, they were like nervous in their face because they're trying to be like cool. First, that they're cool because they know that shit happen all the time. But when you see that they're getting nervous,
then you're like,
wait, why you nervous?
if they're nervous,
If
yeah.
they're nervous because it's not something that they used, man, it was frantic. Also, the plane goes like, you
Yeah.
feel like it float and then hold and then I don't know, it moved to the side.
All right, now I'm nervous about flying again.
I had to fucking fly in a week, bro. Why are we talking about that?
I don't know, man. We
We
were talking about
start-
nerves and performing and tattoos, and then we got the airplanes.
Because we start the conversation about Sully and the airplane, the
Oh, yeah,
land,
yeah.
or how you say aquatize, how you say in English when they land, but it's not on land, it's in the water,
the,
so
the aquatic landing, maybe
something
I
like
don't know.
that. Yeah. In Spanish you say aquatiza. So
Aquatiza.
yeah.
Well, that's what I'll call it from now on.
Yeah, instead of aterriza, the aquatiza. I think people might be like, "Fuck that guy, making words up." But yeah, the conversation that started when we were already recording. That was before I pressed record.
No, we got.
We were
it.
recording
Yeah, we were
already.
recording, yeah.
When we were talking about
Yeah.
Zully and the
Yeah, we talked
Hudson.
about- yeah.
Hudson. So yeah, for some reason we just start talking about that shit. Anyway, so I don't know. I was about to ask you something, and I forgot because we started talking about airplanes and
Well,
shit.
I'll
But
be
it was
here.
something about that. Yeah, it was something about the performance. That how was the? Yeah, that was the thing, because for you guys, it's like, I don't know. First, that you can write the jokes, as you said, but you don't know if they're really funny.
Yeah.
Or even the kind of presentation of the idea is funny, and still you have to know how to deliver it. The
Yeah.
time, the setup, the delivery of the joke, all of that thing, right? And the punchline and stuff. But that's one thing. But the other thing is that now you have to practice it on public. You cannot do it by yourself in the
Yeah.
mirror, because
All the
you might be
practice, yeah.
tricking yourself. And then it also depends on the public, because might be people that is not in the mood for that kind of joke, or I don't know.
Yeah.
The room is too big for that joke or too small for the joke or stuff like that
Yeah, I
happen
mean,
too. So
yeah, the crowds. I mean, obviously, like the audience makes a big difference. So you want to have like a good audience that's open. I mean, you have to also like pick your spots, right? So if you're like working on new jokes, you have to figure out like what's the right strategy to do that. Like if I'm going to do a new joke, something that I haven't done before. Usually, what I want to do is warm up the crowd first, make sure they already know I'm funny.
with the jokes that you already know they're good.
So if they
and
like,
stuff.
if they're already laughing, then it's easier to get a new joke in. And if it doesn't go well, you can just be like, oh, it's a new joke. Like this is how it works. That's part of the process. And I think some people enjoy seeing the process, right?
Yes.
They, understand the art form and how it works. And
Definitely.
can't believe I just called comedy an art form.
It is, man. It is.
It's arguable.
Yeah, but it is. It's arguable, but it
Yeah.
is, man. Come on.
No, I know. I just have a hard time calling myself an artist.
I know.
You know what I mean? So
Imposter syndrome, kinda.
I'm a comedian. I don't know if I'm an artist.
Yeah, no, man. It's a big and important part of the art world, And,
Well,
and
yeah,
keeping people happy or making people happy. What a challenge,
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you can keep people happy or make people happy, but you can distract them for a while,
At least,
or make them think about something a little different. So, yeah, but it's it's always tough, like figuring out the right spots and figuring out how to build the stuff. But you're right. Like even if you have the joke, you don't have the timing necessarily. You don't necessarily like have all the tags or like little jokes in between. So you have to get up there. Like there's a lot of comics who will write. Just sit down and write. I can't do that. Like I'll come up with an idea, I'll jot down like the idea, and then I'll just start kind of riffing about it on stage.
That's how you do it?
That's how I do it, yeah.
You don't write 100% of the joke on paper first or something?
Like I've got like
you write like hints, like notes.
Yeah, like I got like a few like I'll jot down like an idea. Like yesterday I wrote down this as like I was thinking about like married sex and how like the largest number of people that can find married sex exciting is 2. It's just like, and even they're kind of like, it's not that great. But like single sex, anyone could watch. And like, no one's on Pornhub like looking for, married couples making love.
I know.
So
yeah, it's
so
a, it's
that's
a good
like the
idea.
concept of the joke, but I don't know how it's going to be on stage. I got to get up there, and I'm actually doing a show Tuesday in the city with Michael Costa. He's
Nice.
one of the correspondents for the Daily Show. He does this show every week called Nice Try, and the concept is that the whole show is just comics trying out new jokes.
Damn.
So if like you go to the show, you need to know what you're getting into. Like you're not getting like polished material. You just have people kind of throwing shit at a wall. So
And they expect you as a comedian to bring your own new jokes. Let's say it that way.
yeah, so I'm gonna go and
Because-
basically like all my jokes will be very rough form. Like I'm just kind of like figuring it out and seeing is like at first you're just like seeing is there something here or not, right?
Yeah.
So you'll try it maybe once or twice, see if there's like anything that's catching. And if sometimes it'll go great, sometimes like that it just works out, and other times it'll be like this is funny, but I got to keep adding to it or developing it. So. But yeah, Tuesday should be interesting because it'll be all stuff.
Is that in the city?
Yeah, that's at New York Comedy Club.
At the New York
yeah.
Comedy? Cool, man. Yeah, it sounds super interesting. So I also remember that there is this style of comedy where either the public or somebody write words, and so it's like an improv, right?
Oh, improv, yeah.
So this is not like improv. This is actually your own jokes, but on a raw stage, the very, very beginning
Yeah,
stage. And
yeah.
just
So you can
test it.
write stuff, but you just don't know how it's going to go. Yeah, improv is, I have a lot of respect for people who do improv.
Yeah, man.
Because you're just like up there, and also you're relying on other people, which I think is challenging. Like
Yeah.
at least with stand up, I'm like I'm up here, I have control of the situation, right? Improv is kind of scary, but
Yeah, everything that requires that kind of fast thinking is hard, man. Like a rap, the battle raps. That when you just battling, not really like you song, but that fucking hard, man.
yeah.
It's probably harder because they not just need to do something based on what the people is throwing them, but it have to make sense and have to rhyme and it have to
Yeah.
be
Well,
as strong as it's.
the thing that is interesting about that type of stuff, like I think, freestyle or improv or even stand-up, stand-up is a great example of it. When you're doing crowd work as a stand-up, so if I'm like talking to the crowd, playing off the crowd and riffing stuff that they know is like new and genuine, like in the moment, the bar for how funny it has to be actually lowers. So you don't
You're
have
right.
to be as funny. Like my funniest joke will not be something that's crowd work. My funniest joke is something that's planned, but the biggest laugh I might get might be something that I say off the cuff to a crowd, because when you're doing that, just the fact that it's in that moment, people are more receptive to it. So like same thing with like improv. Part of it is like, it's not going to be as funny as stand up. But people will laugh as hard. It's not that it's not, it's just that like the bar is a little bit lower. People are like, oh, this is cool. This is special. And they appreciate the talent that takes, I think.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes a lot of sense what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a tattoo form of that, where if like
For an improv.
you're like, oh, I'm just guessing.
Yeah, I have a friend, man. So he's a tattoo artist, a well-known tattoo artist. And he's one of the few people I have seen doing. Very few people have seen doing. You can normally you use an stencil, right, to trace. You can also freehand, right, with markers or whatever, and then start tattooing. But it's not really recommended to just tattoo without any trace before, mostly because when you stretch the skin to trace, right, you distort the skin.
Yeah.
So what is kind of like a straight line, once you do this, it takes a curve. You still have to follow the curve, because when you release, it's gonna be the straight line again, okay? Right?
Yeah.
So when you don't have nothing, you stretch and you don't know now if
And
you're
it's gonna-
doing what it gotta do once it goes,
Yeah.
So yeah, but like the people who do that, either they have balls or they don't care so much about what it happens, or they got way too much experience. Like this one guy, he's a Japanese artist, Horishi Tree or something. I don't remember his name right now. Sorry. He's an all master, let's say, of tattooing, and he can start just doing doodles lines, and then it's a dragon.
Yeah.
Like that. It's super talented old man, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so other than that, I don't know how much can be an impro in tattooing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Well,
at
I
least
mean-
that somebody give me a word. Rose? Okay. Give me a word. You say skull? Okay, let's do at least that is something like that. But the client
Well, that
doesn't
could
know
be a
where it's
show.
gonna go.
Maybe you could do that, like do a tattoo show, and maybe this could help you get over your fear of performing. You'll get a volunteer. People will shout stuff from the audience, and then you just start tattooing people.
If I have to get on a stage to tattoo, I won't give a fuck. I don't
Okay. Well, this
feel
is it.
nervous
This is
about it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, there it is.
It's trying to learn lines and then go in the stage and pretend to be somebody else and
yeah.
do the lines and in a proper way with memory and all of that. Ooh.
Well, that's what's nice about stand-up is it's your words. So if you forget something, as long as you know what you're talking about, you can still deliver it, right? You can get to the point.
I seen a small performance like in small clubs or stuff like that with probably 20 people or less in the public,
Yeah.
small, where it's like 3 or 4 different comedians performing during the night, and you see the first 1 or 2 eating shit, like people is like, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then it's suddenly one coming in and make everybody crack and whatever. It's like the attitude and the whatever. So that's what scares me, because I feel like the other guy have funny jokes, but it was something. Even I think people perceive when you're nervous or when you
Oh, yeah, people
unsure
will pick up on
or
that.
all of that. You know what I mean? So it's like you see how the other guy, even before he started talking, or he's just saying like, "Hey, what's up? Oh, I can see you guys together." What, just bullshit, not
Yeah.
even talking. Everybody's already like in good mood and
Oh
laughing
yeah.
and whatever.
I mean, if you have like confidence, you need confidence. The other thing that happens too in a situation like that is, one, when you're doing a show with like a smaller crowd, it's always tougher, right? It's always like takes more work to kind of get the crowd going. And when you have a show where you have multiple comics, you're always better off not being like the first or second comic, because the room is still tight. That's why you have like a host like warming up the crowd. You want to get people like loosened up. But then by the time you're getting to like, if it's showcase the heart of the lineup, or if you have a headliner, obviously, they're always, the headliner in almost every situation is going to be the strongest comic, but also they're getting put up in the best possible situation because the crowd's been warmed up, and then they can just kind of go into a hot crowd. Like hosting is like the toughest, because you're going up, the crowd is cold. You got to get them engaged. You got to get them laughing.
Even the MC guy have sometimes a tough job, because
Oh, the MC is it's the toughest job.
his job is not to be funny, but he have to be funny. You
He's
know
got
what I
to
mean?
set up everybody else for success. He's got to get,
Set up the mood of the public. He have to like make people feel like this is what is gonna happen today, but also throwing jokes there because already people feel like where we are, right? We're here in this funny place or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I've seen that even for the MCs that sometimes they perform like a little video, sometimes they don't like, most of the time they kind of go deep. I mean, most of the time when it's a kind of club, I don't know if we in a big stand-up comedy, it's just sometimes the guy that presents, he just go there and say, okay, with you, whatever, and then it's the first comedian that open for the main comedian, right? But in the clubs, it's like an MC guy that comes and say a few jokes, and then he's, okay, let me give you hands for whatever, and then the first person come but yeah, man, he have to keep and in between a comedian and the other one, he have to come in very quick and keep people in that mood before people start getting bored or disappearing, pee breaks or whatever.
I think I produce a lot of shows as well as performing, and I think the most important spot that you have on the show is like the host. Like, how good are they? Not just as a comic, because there's like very good stand-up comics who don't want to or wouldn't be very good at hosting, because their style might be, there's comics who have like more of a low energy or like kind of like deadpan type thing, or some comics who might be like less engaging to the audience. They might be more joke tellers. So the host, it's the toughest spot, and the people who are good at it, really make a huge difference. Like when I did my album recording, I got James Mattern to host, and he is, I think, the best host. He's a great comic, but he's like literally the best host in New York City. Like there's no one better.
He's already known as a host.
Yeah, he's known as both a comic and a host. But like if you want to have like the best possible host for a show, like it's not a question. It's him. He gets every member of the audience like fully engaged. He talks to people like almost like on an individual basis. He really gets the energy up, like, and he also trains the crowd. Like the thing that a lot of people don't know is like, you're doing a show. There's frequently people who have not been to a stand-up show before, or they haven't been to a comedy show, and they don't know like how you act. There's people who shout things out because they think that's like what's supposed to happen in a stand-up show. And so, part of it, like, what a good host will do is also lay out kind of those ground rules in a way that doesn't lose the energy, right?
Yes, based on that you're saying, sorry to interrupt.
Oh yeah, no worries.
How much is a good laugh, and when it crossed the line to be already like a heckler? Heckler, you say?
Yeah.
George, what is his name? Adam George. No. Fuck.
Iron George?
No. It's this guy from New York, from New York. He went to Miami a little bit, went back to the city again. He's a comedian. He was here in Norwalk Theater once. Fuck.
At BJ Ryan's or the theater?
No, in the theater. He has the Fragant 2 or something, the podcast.
Oh, Flagrant 2?
Yeah, Fragant.
Oh, is it Chris DiStefano?
No.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Andrew Schultz?
Andrew Schultz, thank you.
Oh, he was in Norwalk?
He was once in Norwalk, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the Norwalk Theater. It was super fun. The guy is super fun,
Yeah,
right?
he's great.
Something happened that night that it gave me a very bad taste that I almost disliked the guy. That was the first time I saw him because, Rosa, right? Rosa, yeah. She mentioned it. Hey, this guy got to be here. He's fun. So, okay, let me go and check it out. I went that day just random by myself. Something happened that night that I was like, oh, this guy's fun. What the fuck would this guy think who he is? And then I was like, okay, wait, maybe I don't understand this. And then I keep watching his stuff, and yeah, the guy is fun. So what happened was that somebody was being noisy, and then he was like, please stop, it's annoying. And he kept talking. He talks a lot with the public, right? He worked the public a lot. In some point, he was like, okay, I said, just shut up because I got to kick you out, whatever. And then he kept talking. And then he was like, okay, security, what is security? Get this girl out of here. I'm not going to get her out. And then I think the girl got kicked out. I was all the way in the back, so I didn't see.
Yeah.
But I think she got kicked out. So I was like, what the fuck? She's laughing because you fun. So she's very, very excited about what's happening. How you going to get kicked out of a comedy show for her to be laughing? So then I was like, okay, I know that it's a point where, let's say the people that whoa, 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 make noises like that, right? Or whatever it is, or that very loud laugh, So it's kind of distracting for that person.
No, if you're gonna laugh, that's not heckling, right?
I think she wasn't saying words or anything. I'm pretty sure, man, but
Well, the other thing to keep in mind too is if she's all the way up in the front and you're all the way in the back, you can't always hear
Yes.
what she's saying, right? So you can hear what's coming through the microphone and what the comic's saying. But when you're in a theater that size, there can be things that are being shouted from the crowd that you're not hearing. So,
But I think that, that kind of laugh, like,
I mean, like,
like that kind of laugh, like, I don't even know what I'm making of the fucking noise. That sounds ridiculous.
look, if
but
you're genuinely laughing, you're not going to have a problem at a comedy show. If you're purposely being disruptive, that's
right,
where
she was being
yeah, if
disruptive.
she was like intentionally, I don't know, I wasn't there, so I can't speak to it.
Of course,
but I would wager any amount of money that she didn't get thrown out of the club for
just laughing. Of course, no. No. So the point was that I think that she was not just laughing because I'm sure that Andrew won. Said somebody stop laughing in my comedy show. You
Yeah.
know, he won the laugh.
Well, part of the
she was
challenge-
doing something that probably I wasn't hearing. The point, my point, and what I totally agree or said I was grown to that point to create an opinion in my mind, not knowing exactly. But it's just what I'm seeing in that moment. I just hearing the laugh and I'm seeing like just stop. You're being noisy or whatever, and then just stop. I was like, in my mind, I was like, but she's laughing.
Yeah.
But that was what I was speaking, right? Again, I still I got mad of the guy. I felt like he was way too arrogant. But that was an opinion that was created myself independently of what he was doing because I wasn't sure, right? So I didn't want to be like, I got to go out and talk shit about this guy. It's not my intention. It never been. I never even mentioned this before. I think the first time I mentioned it. And the reason that I mentioned is that I wait and went out just to, okay, one day I got to ask other friends, comedian, what's up with that? It's like, it's like when people laugh too much, very loud, or is that you think that you probably was doing something
No,
else?
it's just if you're like disrupting, and the challenge is, one for like if we're talking about like Andrew Schultz, he does a lot of the crowd work, right? So he engages with the crowd. When you're engaging with the crowd and expecting like responses from them, you're setting some people up to a situation where their expectation is like, oh, I'm a part of this. And I should, and some people, even if they're not being addressed, will like shout things out, and that's disruptive. Like you should never shout things at a comic. Like if they're asking you things or talking to you, you should respond. But you shouldn't make it about you or feel like, oh, this is like my show or this is like my time to interject. When you're doing the crowd work, that raises the opportunity for people to misunderstand or do that. The other thing that's challenging, and I think like in this situation, with Andrew that you mentioned, is if someone is heckling, if they are being disruptive and you're trying to deal with them, there's a few ways you can do this, right? Like you can make fun of them, which is usually the best way. But if you're doing that, you need to be clear with like why you're making fun of them. And like I said, the crowd's not always picking up everything that people in the audience are saying. So sometimes you might be up there as a comic, someone's shouting at you, they're right in front of you, and you can't respond just to what they say. You almost have to like repeat what they said
first.
so the audience,
kind of follow
gets
what is
it.
happening.
So they can get a full picture. Because if you just start lambasting someone and somebody else didn't even realize that person was being disruptive, you can lose the crowd. But I've seen comics losing on people. I've seen comics like have security remove people. I've seen comics just kind of scold people. Like I've told people like to shut the fuck up. Like I'm in the middle of my set, and if someone like keeps talking, like I'll jokingly address it first, but then if they're still doing it, I'm like, look, you just need to shut the fuck up. And
I hate
say
that shit,
like
man.
audiences are fine with that. Like they're there for the show, and if someone's heckling or being disruptive, it's not just the comic that they're ruining it for. They're ruining it
for everybody else, man.
right? Yeah.
Mostly the people around them.
Yeah.
Like, I completely dislike when I go to a comedy club. Of course, it's like I feel like it's 150 times worse when it's like in a theater. Let's say, or, you know what I mean, where it's supposed to everybody be in silence, and just enjoy that what is happening there.
Yeah.
But in a comedy club, people kind of feel like, we're drinking. It's a club. We can fucking keep party while the guy's talking shit there. No, it's like still is performing and he need to be focused and people want to listen, not to you like talk. Man, when people start talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, you're like, come on.
Yeah.
What the fuck you doing here?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, and when people
get
like,
aggravated and or people pull out the phones and you see in the screen of the phone, even when you try to look, you see that It's like, come on, let me just focus on what is going on.
And that's why, like I was saying, like, having a good host, somebody like, James Mattern, who, really addresses that stuff and, make sure that people are clear, like, because, when this stuff is happening, I don't normally think it's like, I don't think someone's like necessarily an asshole. They come off as an asshole. I don't think they're necessarily trying to ruin the show. Normally they think they're helping. Like frequently they'll like, I've seen it. I mean, every comic has seen it where someone like heckles during the show. And then after the show, they come up to the comic and they're like, oh, that was fun. Right. And the comic's like, no, you're a fucking asshole. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, they don't get it. So some of it's just like knowledge of like, oh, I'm at a comedy show. Here's how the way it's okay to act. And, you're right. People are drinking. When you're in that club, it's intimate. You're interacting with the crowd. But there's some things that are okay and there's some things that aren't.
Yes. Yeah. I'm still in shock what happened that day. I don't know why. Again, for me, she was just laughing. Also, as a comedian, let's say, you just said to me like, nobody gonna kick out for laughing, right?
Yeah.
That's what you expect people to go nuts, right? To be happy. But some people is very loud, like very loud laugh or very loud, like they want to keep laughing even in between. When you're setting up for the next joke, they're still like kind of laughing at that too.
I mean, yeah, I got no problem with that.
Okay.
Like, I actually have a good friend who lives here in Norwalk. Her name's Yasmina, and she's come to like all of my shows. Like, I've known her since I first started doing comedy. So like when I used to do bar shows in New York City, she and her husband, my good friend Harry, would always be there. And she just has like this laugh that's like, it stands out. Like when she's laughing, you hear it. And the other thing that she does is what you said. She laughs during the setups. Like she doesn't always. She's just always having a good time, always laughing. And it was always better to have her at the show.
Okay. So you like that? You personally?
Well, yeah, because if you have somebody who's there, clearly having a good time and laughing and just being relaxed about it, it gives other people permission to laugh, right? So if you have a room and like nobody's laughing, there's almost like this, the whole room tightens and you don't want to be like the only person, but when you have somebody who's like just laughing and having a good time, other people will laugh. They'll laugh at that laugh. Like they'll start, it'll just be more fun. So, I don't know. I get no problem with laughing. Cool.
But would you, and I swear it's the last question I'm making about this situation. No. But would you think, in your personal opinion, that even that kind of laugh might be taken grown by other comedians? They would say is
I've never seen a comic feel like somebody laughing.
So probably what happened to Andrew that day was that she was probably doing something.
I think there was other stuff
words or stuff that we cannot hear, just that laugh, and then she was probably saying stuff in between.
That would be my guess, is that there was more going on than just laughing, or if somebody is like laughing in a way that's intentionally disruptive, like if someone's like,
probably was that too, and become far. I'm assuming that she's just laughing, but because he's seeing the situation, probably he's perceiving as that you doing intentionally to fucking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't. It's hard to speak to a situation, but I've never seen anyone get thrown out of a comedy show for laughing. Like that's.
That day
like
I was
thrown
like,
out of a church for praying.
Is so rude. How you gotta keep? I was feeling like that kind of how you say in English is an expression that when you feel kind of embarrassing for somebody else's situation.
Yeah.
That, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that happened to
you're
her,
empathizing.
but I kind of empathize with that kind of feeling. Probably she's feeling like shit right now walking out of this place.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I'm sure she deserved it.
Herself.
She deserved it. So don't feel bad for her.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
No problem. I don't want you living with that guilt.
Good. Listen, it's been like what, 3 years probably, and I still have that shit in my mind, man.
Yeah.
Like I feel annoyed by the situation.
Yeah.
Mostly because I didn't know. But again, I felt annoyed, but it's not like I gotta like cancel this guy and write tweets about this fucker. No. I give him the benefit of doubt.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what was happening. For me, it was like, is she getting kicked for the noise? That's bullshit from this guy. Come on, let her be happy. But maybe something else is happening. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? So I left it like that. But
I would bet money there was other stuff happening.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So for today, because you came, but you told me you can be like for 1 hour or so, whatever. And it's
Yeah, I didn't realize your podcast ran like a half a day.
yeah, no, man. Listen,
Next time we'll do an overnighter.
it's almost 1 hour already.
Time fucking flies.
That's
right?
what I mean. You know what I mean? When you're talking, you feel like, oh, wait, we're gonna talk for 3 hours. 3 hours is so long.
Yeah.
When you do 1 hour, it's like I don't
It
even
flies
know where
by.
you're from. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, it's super fly. So it put kind of pressure in your head that, okay, just don't waste time on talking shit because
Yeah.
you have to. No, I want to just talk shit. That's basically what I want to do. Talk shit for a couple of hours. But also, I have several friends that are away that they can do Zoom meetings, Zoom podcast, let's call it, recordings, but then also have that limited kind of time. So I was like, okay, I gotta do a bunch of 1 hour or so,
Yeah.
around 1 hour set to see how it works. When I first started the idea of the podcast, a few friends of mine said, don't do 3 hours, they're boring, nobody gonna listen to that shit. And of course, I don't know anything, and those friends don't have podcasts, so they listen to some podcasts. So I was like, okay, let me figure it out for myself. What would be better for me, right?
Yeah.
And of course, I got inspired, as many people, for Joe Rogan show, and he shows 3 hours, and I watch it all the time, and many times I'm like, fuck, I wish that shit didn't end right there, like when he got some of those guests that you picking their brain, and it's like, oh my god, I want to know more about that.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it, let me just do the first one the most natural possible to see how far it goes. And yeah, when I realized it was like 2.5 hours we're talking shit, so I was like, okay, I gotta keep it around that time.
Yeah. Well, I apologize. I normally think of a podcast as like around an hour length.
Yeah.
So I didn't even realize.
It was my bad. Don't apologize. I didn't tell you.
I'm going to the spa today
Cool,
with my
man.
wife. Yeah. So we're heading to New York after this. So that's why I.
Yeah, no worries at all, man. It's good test for me too to do that 1 hour once to see how it goes.
Well, maybe this will be your most popular episode yet.
You might, it could be, right? Because people say, 1 hour, I gotta listen to that because the other one, fuck that shit. So, wait, I wanted to ask you something again, and I forgot. Yeah, man, for me, it's hard this time of the morning on a Sunday. I'm always like
Still waking up,
half asleep, half awake. Yeah. But so you told me already how you pretty much you create your jokes.
Yeah.
You pick something fun, or something come to your mind, you write it down, and then you talk shit on the stage and try to build it from there. You record your own
record all my sets,
and you listen to that.
I don't always listen, but if I'm working on something new, I listen to see how did my delivery go, where did I get the laughs, so I can kind of say like, oh, this part we keep, this part we cut, here's what needs to tweak. So,
and you try to keep everything in your mind, just as in memory, or you, let's say for example, you have a performance tomorrow in the city, so you have like a list or title of jokes to go over in the order that you want to deliver them, or you.
It depends, not really, because I have so much material that I just know and have down that I can kind of go in and out of, as I need to. So I don't normally, like when I first started, I would write out a set. I'd be like, this joke, this joke, this joke. I knew what my plan was. Now I'm at a point, I'm like, okay, how long am I doing? I go up, I just start talking. I will maybe write down, like if there's like particular jokes that I want to make sure I hit, I'll keep those in mind. I'm like, okay, the 3 jokes that I want that are new to put in here, those I have to remember. But the rest of the stuff, I just kind of let it go and kind of pick a little bit from here, a little bit from there until my time's up.
You're from New York originally?
No, I'm from Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Oh, you're from here?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
cool, man.
So I grew up in Bridgeport, and then I started comy in New York.
How's
about
that?
10 years ago. How
you started it there in this area?
Well, I grew up in Bridgeport, and then I went to college in D.C., and then when I moved back to Connecticut because I was looking for work in New York. So then I started working in New York. Probably more than, I guess, like 15 years ago. Let me think. No, actually even more. Probably like 18 years ago.
How old are you, man?
42.
Oh, yeah? You look like fucking 28.
Well, thank you.
I always thought you were super young.
I drink a lot of baby blood.
32. Oh, good, man.
Yeah, that keeps me.
Oh, you are a Democrat. No, I'm kidding.
So
we got fucked.
Yeah, so I was in New York, for a while. So I, definitely, I love the city. And now we're in Stamford, so we're still in Connecticut, but easy access to the city, which I like.
So while you were working in the city, what you doing?
I mostly I worked some nonprofit stuff, but I ended up running a bar group in the city for about 6 or 7 years. So I was like the VP of operations, and we had like 5 or 6 different bars and restaurants that we ran. So that was a big part of it. And then I started doing the comedy, and then I
Running like finance,
like operations. So
like numbers, meaning
yeah, reviewing the numbers,
okay.
making sure that, our promotions were in place, that, everybody's kind of executing what they need to be executing, inventories, P&Ls.
You said you were a bartender. That was before or after?
While I was doing it, I
during that
also,
time?
so I worked Monday through Friday in the office, like 10 to 6. And then Fridays, as soon as I got done with work, I'd go and bartend until 4 a.m.
Oh, okay.
And then most of the nights of the week, I would be at the bars too.
Drinking it.
Yeah.
And how comedy start for you?
So, I've always been a big fan of comedy. So when I went to college, I used to see the improv troupe at Georgetown. And the improv troupe, when I was there...
That's it in Georgetown, that's in Washington area?
Yeah, in D.C., yeah.
D.C. area.
Yeah. So I would go and see our college's improv troupe. Pretty much any weekend they had a show, I was there, and I loved it. It was so funny. And in the improv troupe while I was there was Mike Birbiglia, John Mulaney.
Oh, shit. I love him, man.
And Nick Kroll. So, like, these were the guys that I would, like, watch doing comedy.
But they were starting?
Yeah, they were all college kids.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would go see them, and Mike Birbiglia and I became friendly because I would run a lot of events on campus, and I'd often like have him host the events. And when I graduated, I stayed in D.C. He was in D.C. still, working at the D.C. Improv. So I'd go see him perform stand-up, pretty frequently when he was just starting. And then I ended up moving to New York. He actually was in New York around the same time. So I basically followed his career.
But up to this point, you're still not doing comedy.
No,
You're
I
just
hadn't.
being a
Yeah,
fan,
this
that's
was
it.
just a fan, and I always wanted to, but I never like really knew how to start. Like it just like I just didn't know. So, I didn't know there were open mics or things where people would like go try material out. But one time I went to a show at Gotham Comedy Club.
In the city, right?
Yeah, in the city. Yeah, 23rd, I think between like 7th and 8th, or right around 8th maybe. So we went to see, I went with my best friend and his girlfriend at the time to see her friend, this guy Brett Siddell, who was headlining this, I think it was like a Tuesday night show. And, my best friend and his girlfriend, everybody knew like I wanted to try comedy. Like it wasn't like I wanted to, I just didn't know how. I had joke ideas, I just never done it. So I met the headliner who was, friends with, Michelle, and they had told him that I was interested in doing stand-up, and he's like, oh, well, he ran this show called the Napkin Contract Show, where they would get people who had never done comedy to sign a cocktail napkin contract, presumably when they're drunk, to agree to go perform comedy for the first time. So I'm like, all right, I'll do that show. And, the reason they do that show is because when you have people performing comedy for the first time, they bring all their friends. So they'd have like crowded shows. So I did the show, and there were like 70 people in the audience, and like 30 of them were my friends. And so I did really well.
You did well?
Yeah, because all my friends.
Nah, but still, your friends are better than my friends. My friend will be like, "Fuck, get out of there!" Yeah.
No, I am lucky. I have a lot of good friends who've been very supportive. But yeah, so I did well.
But wait, but that was on the spot that same day that you were there, or that for the napkin was
No,
to come
this
back
was like a
another
week
day?
later. Or
So
a few
you
weeks
went
later.
home and
yeah,
you
so
okay?
I got ready. Yeah,
Let me get ready and all of this. Okay.
So, I went up and I did well because it was all my friends. I mean, like, I'm sure it sucked. Like, if I went back and watched it now, I'm sure it was terrible. But it went well. Everybody laughed.
Is recorded somewhere, you think, or
I
no?
don't think so. I don't know. I don't think I have that one. And then, I don't think I was even thinking about taping it. I'm glad I didn't. I don't even want to know.
It could be cool.
I didn't want to know how bad that was.
My brother still have the first tattoo I ever did. And it's a piece of shit, and still has it. So, yeah, you're right. I don't want to see it, but he don't want to cover it.
Well, yeah, once you got
first
it,
tattoo.
yeah. So yeah, because I mean, afterwards, the comics and who were there, who'd run the show, they wanted to book me for other shows.
Oh, cool,
Not because
man.
no, it's not that cool. Because it
Of
wasn't
course.
because I'm
Nah,
funny.
come on. It
No,
was too.
it
Because
was
the crowd, but also because
because
you
the
were
crowd,
funny.
yeah,
Because
they
you
knew
were
like I would
sucked.
draw, right? So then
If you suck, they probably will say, "You want to invite your friend next time? Give
they
you a
would-
drink or something."
They would still like honestly, it didn't matter.
You think?
Like, it did not matter? No, because I would continue to do these shows that these guys would book, and the shows were terrible.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like I would go, and I was like this at this point in time. I was like 3 to 6 months into starting comedy, and I'd be on these shows, and I'd be one of the funniest comics on there. Like I'd be like always like one of the top 2 funniest comics, and I would bring all my friends, and I was like, you know what, this is like shitty, because I'm bringing all my friends. They're coming to see me. They're seeing me do the same jokes that they've seen me do before, and all the other comics are worse than me. I'm like, this is not, and they're paying like $25 to see this shit. So I was like, I can't keep doing this. So I started producing my own shows where I would book really good comics. My plan always was like, I'm going to be the worst comic on my show. So if all my friends are going to come, they'll have to put up with my shitty set, but they're going to see like really good comics as well. So that's kind of like what got me into producing shows.
That's a good shit to do, man. Having the balls to think that way, like I gotta make a show where I'm the worst of them. It's good for everybody, but also challenge for you to keep pushing yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get comfortable.
Always, yeah. I would. I mean, it's weird to say. Like, I would always want to be like the worst comic on a show because I also want to enjoy the show, right? Like,
What was that?
I mean, I would always want to be the worst comic because I also want to enjoy the show. So I want to see like comics who are better than me that are going to make
but for your
get
ego,
better.
bro, you don't want to be the worst. You want to be there.
I'm fine, man. My ego's fine. Don't worry.
No, I know. But
Like if I'm like the
still.
worst comic on a show with like a bunch of great comics, that's still great, right? Like you're not going to feel bad about that.
So yeah, it's good. It's not. You don't want to be a back. That you don't want to be the bad one. You want to be just the worst one.
Yeah, I don't want to be bad.
Ones.
I want to be good.
Yeah.
But I want the show to be
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd rather be on a great show where I'm.
So if the bar set where you are the worst, but still you're good, from there out, everything's going to be
right?
great. Yeah, makes sense now.
Yeah. And you could have a good show where I'm like the best comic, but I'm not going to enjoy it as much.
Cool. Man, it's crazy, right? How life turns around, right? Like when you were little, you ever thought about like one day I want to be a performer artist or do stuff like?
I don't think so. I really don't.
Can you now imagine yourself like, I gotta quit this shit, I don't want to do comedy never again or
No,
stuff?
I'm never going to stop.
Right?
Yeah. You have to.
But it's insane how
It's like in my blood now.
how you don't plan stuff that come to your life and then you don't want to put it aside. Like for me, tattooing, for example, or art, painting and stuff. I don't imagine not thinking on art brain, let's say. Because I feel like sometimes my brain is very like, even though I'm a mess, like I leave things around all the time, at the same time I'm very organized with a lot of stuff. So I'm like pretty good with like numbers and thinking quick about, what is better for this situation, that situation, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I have to be like very technical thinker sometimes, right? For the business and whatever, right? But in overall, my brain is always thinking in an artistic way. I would say where when I'm analyzing people's manners or situations or even like thinking about colors or symbolism or meanings or all of that kind of stuff, right? And I feel like that's my artistic brain. And I might be wrong, but that's how I like to see it.
Yeah.
So I don't imagine not having those thoughts like every minute of my day, Not like every minute, but you know what I mean?
No,
Through my day, every day, I have those thoughts.
And for me, like, I don't know. I don't feel like I need like the art of it. Maybe that's why I don't like consider myself an artist. Like I if I were just like sitting down, like writing jokes all day, I don't think I would find that fulfilling. Like what I find fulfilling is like being on stage. Like I want to be on stage. I want to be interacting with an audience. I want to have a microphone in my hand. Like that's what it comes to. So like the writing stuff, the rest of it is just, that's kind of like the work for me that you have to do to get on stage.
So we almost in that 1 hour. I'm feeling the pressure of the time. You podcast Is your podcast or you and your friends?
It's me and Marty Caproni, who's another great comic.
Where is he in Norwalk?
He's based in Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he performs all over New England.
Okay. Good advice for bad ideas. No.
Good advice for bad ideas.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I got it right.
You nailed it.
I'm waking up. Your Instagram is Joe Gerics.
At Joe Gerics, JoeGerics.
Keep it simple, right?
Yep.
You have like travel dates. You planning to travel to do somewhere else stuff?
I honestly mostly perform locally because, I have the Fairfield Comedy Club, which I started. We have the Connecticut Comedy Festival.
Oh, you started at the Fairfield Comedy Club?
Yeah, so the Fairfield Comedy Club, me, my buddy Beecher, and the guys who own New York Comedy Club opened that, and we're actually reopening September 18th. So it'll be our first. We've done
indoor.
We're back indoors at the Circle Hotel in Fairfield. So we have that little lobby that we turned into a showroom, and it's a great space. It's actually really fun. I'm very excited to be back there. But that'll be back every Saturday and most Fridays starting in mid-September.
Is that hotel the same where the outdoor patio were?
Yeah.
Because I went to two, maybe Billboard and Pete Davidson.
Oh yeah, you saw some good shows then.
Yeah, I went to those.
So that's
two.
the backyard. Inside that main building there is the lobby. That's where we first started. So it's
cool,
a fun
man.
space. Like we can, it's tight. It's like 100 people, but it's a super fun room.
That's a big lobby.
Well, it's we move all the chairs and we move everything out. We put in theater style seating and a stage, and it converts very nicely. But it's a very special room. Like you should definitely come. Happy to have you when we reopen. We have Chuck Nice on the 18th, and and then we'll be back at it. So if if you've got local listeners, you can catch me there just about any weekend. And then we're opening up a full-time comedy club in Stamford, Connecticut. The Connecticut Comedy Club in hopefully February. So we signed the lease and we're getting the work done. So
nice.
We'll have comedy every night of the week soon.
Awesome, man. And what is the best site of way for people to see who's coming and whatever?
If you go to fairfieldcomedyclub.com or connecticutcomedyfestival.com, you'll see all of our shows. So we have a lot of stuff happening in Connecticut. We do stuff at the Wall Street Theater, like that Andrew Schultz show. There's a bunch of good stuff coming up. We have Eddie Griffin in September in Norwalk as well.
Shit, nice.
So a lot of stuff coming. Easy to find me if you're in the Connecticut area.
Awesome, man. Thank you for coming. It's
thank
1 hour.
you. Yeah, no, thank you for
hour.
having me. Sorry I didn't have the full 3, but it'll give us time for next time. We'll have more to talk about.
I can't wait for your special to be out, man. So maybe you
thanks,
come
man.
by and you let us know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What it's gonna be? You know already if it's gonna be like in Netflix or Hulu or something?
I don't. We
You
gotta
know
get
that
it all
part yet?
edited and chop it out and figure all that stuff out.
It takes time, right?
Yeah, that'll take
effort.
probably end of this year, early next year, I would think.
Man, I can't wait to see it all
well, thanks,
together.
man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll send you some rough cuts.
Joy. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
For
It's
coming
great
by.
to see you, man. I
Enjoy the
appreciate you
rest of the
having
day.
me. Yeah.
Of course, man. And thank you for the little gift you gave me in the comedy club, remember?
Oh, no problem. Glad you remember.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I should have brought some more today. Next time.
Next time, man. No worries. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
See you next time, man.
Thanks, man. That was great.
That was cool, right?
That was so much fun. Appreciate it. Yeah. I see now how you could go 3 hours easy. You're an easy guy to talk to.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.